Hi Johnny, hi Isa.
Hello.
Can you tell us what Trivet is and what it means to you?
Trivet is our restaurant. Trivet, when you look up the actual definition of trivet, it's a cooking apparatus. When we refer to trivet, it's usually the actual, let's say, call it tripod kind of shaped thing that you would normally kind of maybe hang a pot off to cook over fire. And what it means to us is that everything we do kind of draws from all different cultures. And when you look back at the origins of the cooking culture in those different cultures, the trivet is common to most of them. And on top of that, the actual kind of, let's say, written definition of a trivet, you know, with it having three legs, is that it's the most stable kind of arrangement over uneven ground. And that little bit of the definition has always kind of resonated with me in terms of, I mean, I think anyone who's opened a restaurant would kind of say that at the very least you're on uneven ground, and you know, this is kind of the most stable kind of thing we can have.
Obviously, you were together at the Fat Duck, which is the most famous British restaurant internationally. How did you want Trivet to be different?
I think you know, we did work at the Fat Duck for a long time, and you know, that'll always play a big part in us and a big part of what we do. But you know, there were certain elements of our working relationship while at the Fat Duck that we realized they were the bits that we really wanted to explore more and do more, and those kind of things are what's now formed what we do at Trivet, I would say. The things that we developed there in terms of skills and techniques, you know, we'll still use those, but I would say just delivered in a simpler way. You know, what we aim to do here are really strong flavors, really interesting flavors, in the food and the wine, and how they work together, and those are the things we want to explore here. And you know, but I would say, you know, in a much more relaxed atmosphere, much more casual atmosphere.
Yeah,
and you know, the other big part of what we want to do here is there is the restaurant Trivet, but there is also our wine bar, and they're equally as important to us.
Isa, what kind of approach did you take to put together the wine list, which seems to be covering the history of winemaking?
I think it's more than the actual history of winemaking. What sort of prompted me to do the list in that way was I didn't want to make a big wine list where I just had the names of the wines, the vintages and the prices, page after page. I wanted to give something for people to have other than just reading through the wine list. Because, you know, I know wines, I understand wines, but when I go out in some places, you see the wine list is so big and so many wines in there, you just get like, okay, if I feel it this way, how is a person who doesn't really know much about wine is gonna feel? So I wanted to break that a bit. I wanted to give people something to almost like, this is a nice book. If you start with that, I think you have the people then willing to explore, willing to have a look. And I thought, if I take an aspect of wine that not many people necessarily explore, you know, everybody explore how wine tastes and made and things like that, but not many actually look through the history of it. So I thought if I put my wine list, but also giving people a little bit of information about the history of wine, how it has become to be, and then how it traveled, where it traveled from, and how it came, and where it is going to go in the future. So just in a little fun way. And that way I think we achieved a wine list that people can learn something from without really spending much time. They just look through it, they can pick up nuggets of information that will give them quite useful information. And also they will also be able to look, and when they are looking through the wines, they can see the styles of wine where, especially there are challenging styles, they'll be able to identify those wines, and that will hopefully prompt questions from them to us, and that will give us the opportunity to further explain what we are doing, which so far has been quite well received.
There are wine regions that are extremely well known, like France and Italy. Did you try to give more space maybe to other areas that you like in particular that maybe are not well represented in other restaurants?
I did, but at the same time also, if you look at our wine list, the two strongest countries represented there are Italy and France. So we still really tell people these are the countries, these are the giants of viticultural world today, but we also tell them, but there are these countries who historically have started making the wine in the past, and they are still making wine today, and they are making good wines. So we are also showing those wines to people. So in many ways, we are giving opportunity to lesser known producers to be seen. We are also housing in our list styles of wine that are not many restaurants wouldn't touch in that. We are giving place for both natural and conventional wines on the same wine list, and we are comfortable to do that. And yeah, in that one I think it's a bit different as well. So there is something for pretty much every palate.
And food-wise, was there a dish that became maybe the starting point of this project? Was there something that maybe is on the menu now that was the first thing that you thought, okay, this is gonna be what we're going to do at our restaurant?
There's a dish on the starters menu called Dante's Peachy, and it's a peachy pasta with artichokes. At the moment, it's artichokes and red mullet, but it can change, and we have done it in different ways. And I think why that's such a good representation of the concept is the inspiration for that dish came from a trip that Isa and I made to Tuscany a number of years ago, and we were doing a wine dinner with a winemaker in Tuscany, and as part of that trip, we had this peachy pasta a number of times. Even though I'd lived in Italy for a number of years before that, very different part of Italy, I'd never seen that pasta before, so it was an eggless kind of hand-rolled spaghetti, basically. And we both really thought the texture of it was very interesting. I remember at the time kind of talking about it. And but I mean there, normally it's served with a much kind of heavier ragu type sauce of, veal and pork. And I just kind of wanted to kind of do something that showed off the texture of the noodles a bit more. And so yeah, I mean we make it here and serve it with a kind of a wine butter sauce that's much lighter, and with fish and some artichokes. So and I think that's like kind of what we like to do, and I think it's a very good example of a dish from our concept.
But also people are important for us. People who work with us, people that we met and they are important, and that's why we named it after Dante. Dante was the person who showed us around. So
yeah.
And do you like to think of a wine for each dish that ends up on the menu, or do you prefer to understand the
No, I think that when we are developing the food, from very early on, we get involved in the development of food. So we have a good understanding of the flavors on the dish. And I don't particularly go out and say, oh, I need to buy this and that wine to go with this and that dish. I buy the wines, and then from those wines we know the wines, how they taste, we know the food, how they taste, we find wines to work with.
And for people maybe coming for dinner here, maybe tonight, maybe over the weekend, what should they expect?
I think, ultimately we want people to come and experience some interesting flavors that they've never maybe had in combination before. But ultimately, we want them to come have some interesting food, some interesting and delicious wine, and then, to be honest, leave and carry on with their evening, but then come back again. And I think that's really what we wanted to create here is a restaurant where people can come again and again.
Is it something you missed at the Fat Duck, the fact that it was such a destination restaurant that maybe people don't want to go maybe back, a week later and then again and again?
Yeah, I think that's the Fat Duck is a very unique restaurant, but yeah, we weren't looking to do that. This is the type of restaurant that we like to go to now, and it's an a la carte menu, very interesting wine list that you can kind of work your way through with the help of our sommeliers.
But at the same time, I think what people can also expect are dishes that are genuinely unique. If you look at our chicken in a vinegar sauce, it is unique to us. You are not going to find it in any other restaurant unless they have copied us. So, and then if you look at our pigeon dish, it is unique to us. That's what people can expect. But this uniqueness does not mean that we are compromising on flavor. Quite the contrary. Each and every dish will have its unique set of flavors that are clean and precise. And that's what people can expect as well.
Can you recommend something for someone who comes here for the first time?
I think the ultimate thing, if you were going to come to Trivet, would definitely be to maybe come eat dinner in the restaurant, one evening, and then the next day come back for lunch and sit on the bar and see what else we can do. We've already had at least one person do that, two people, which is great, and those are ideal guests for us, really, and because the food, the wine bar has its own menu with food of a similar style, I guess, to what's in the restaurant, but again in a simpler way there, and a much even more casual way at the bar. No bookings at the bar, just walk in and that's perfect.
Yeah, I think we do want the bar to become almost like a social hub. People come and go without having to need to book. They can order one small plate, glass of wine, even a cup of coffee if they want to. That then enables the restaurant to behave more like a grown-up restaurant where you can serve proper lunches and dinners, where people have a bit more time to spend eating and drinking. I think the bar will probably be more suitable to people who are, especially lunchtime, people who are in a bit of rush. They want to come in and say a 30-40 minutes lunch and go back. The bar can do that. Whereas here, they won't get the full experience in that length of time. I think the minimum we would need here would be really an hour, wouldn't it?
In the restaurant?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen somebody do it. Starter, lunch, starter, main course, dessert in an hour, but it's a bit of a push, I think.
Yeah.
But I think too, when we were in the last time we were in Japan, seeing, that was something that I remember seeing is at different restaurants, people just coming in eating alone, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of focus, let's say, and and then eating and leaving, and but then they probably go back there again, and again, and so we just want to build that kind of thing here as well. We don't want a wine bar full of 20 people eating alone. That might be a bit.
That would be interesting.
That might be a bit quiet and but a mix of that would be good. Yeah.
How do you like the neighborhood? Do you have any favorite restaurants or bars?
I think we have eaten quite a bit in and around Bermondsey. I like actually the picnic. I like the Maltby Street. You know, they are all very good places, fun places to go. Definitely, it's a very good neighborhood.
Yeah, I think originally it was more about the space that we really fell in love with here. But the more time we spent here, and the more we kind of explored a little bit out from Trivet, the more, I mean, me personally, the more I really started liking the area, the more I knew about it. And yeah, it's a really vibrant area. It's a great mix of like residential, office, and business. It's all kind of a lot of people out all the time, and it's a really exciting area.